Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. We're gonna talk about the comic book industry, the direct market. In particular, we are going to talk about IDW Publishing, which continues to lose money. IDW Publishing has been losing massive amounts of money for the last couple of years now. You'd be hard-pressed to find any good news about IDW. They seem to have pinned all of their hopes and dreams on Netflix and Hulu, and it's just not working out very well for them. It really isn't. They don't have a lot of original IP. They've spent so much time chasing licensed properties, licensed comics, characters, and concepts they do not own. Now they're trying desperately to turn things around. They've tried to get into animation. I haven't heard too much about that. Obviously, they're trying to pitch a bunch of shows to Netflix and Hulu. Some of them are sticking, kind of. Some of them aren't. Lock and Key kind of came and went, and nobody really cared. It should have been a much bigger deal. I think they were hoping it was going to be another Stranger Things. But here we are again. Most recent quarter for IDW, they've lost another $500,000. They keep losing money. I mean, 2 years ago, investors were calling for them to sell the company. That's how bad things are over there. A lot of people I used to work with. Now, again, I worked as a freelancer for IDW for a little bit, and I knew some people over there, and I don't think anybody I worked with is still there. Everybody else has jumped ship. A lot of the old guard at IDW have jumped ship. I think they're just holding on by their fingertips at this point. But to compound their financial problems, Bleeding Cool unearthed this little nugget the other day that IDW's executive chairman, William Rapfogel, served time for money laundering. Oh boy. So we're gonna talk about this. Before we get into it any further, guys, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're finally, I think we're over 200,000. I think we are. I'd have to double check. I don't trust YouTube not to yank away like 10,000 subs just because that's what they do. But I think we're over 200,000. When we're safely over 200,000, after they audit those subscribers, then we'll have a little party. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. But thank you so very much for the support. More people watch this channel than buy IDW comic books, apparently. So let's go back to the main thrust of this video that ICV2 posted a couple days ago. That IDW is losing more money. $500,000. If you Google IDW financial trouble, you're going to see nothing but bad news. And the charge is led by Bleeding Cool, but the fact that IDW Media Holdings is publicly traded, that means that you can see what their financials are. A lot of comic book publishers, you can't, or they're owned by larger corporate entities that do not disclose the comic publishers' numbers. Like Disney owns Marvel, but they roll Marvel Comics in with consumer products. So you'll never know how much money Marvel Comics by itself is making. They basically just throw it into the same category as t-shirts and underoos and all that other stuff. So ICV2, IDW Publishing loses $508,000. IDW Publishing continued its losses, reporting a $508,000 loss for its fiscal Q2 ending on April 30th. That was an improvement. That was an improvement over the $647,000 loss a year ago period. A substantial chunk of the losses came from a write-off of $231,000 in the quarter for games costs, advance royalties, and vendor deposits for games that will no longer be produced after a review of its game development costs. So we're not going to make these games because it costs us too much money. Meanwhile, tabletop gaming is blowing up. Crowdfunding is blowing up. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on with IDW that people aren't buying its shit. I mean, there's got to be something going on, right? Could possibly have anything to do with politics. No, I don't know. I don't think that's the biggest problem. I know a lot of people talk about, folks working at IDW being very political, and we had, creators kind of shitting on people. And I do think that contributed to their decline. But my personal opinion is they've been trying to fly too close to the sun. All they care about is developing IP, getting into movies, trying to be a Marvel, and they don't have the manpower to do it. And they're chasing this end goal of Hollywood and having some big marketable IP, and they're starting to look more and more like Platinum Studios, where the comics just exist to, churn out IP, hoping that one or two are going to stick, and we know what happened with them. But they had a good thing going with their games, and apparently that's not working out for them very well either. This contributed to the continuing appearance that IDW is winding down its games business, although game sales were up 106,000 over the previous year in the period due to fulfillment of a direct-to-consumer campaign. Tabletop games are fine for smaller publishers. Again, the problem is and look, even freaking Marvel went to Kickstarter to sell a game. The problem is you've got these companies that, when you're a public company and you've got a lot of debt, even if you're incredibly successful, you might not be successful enough. Again, they're flying too close to the sun here, and they're getting burnt. They had a good thing going when they were kind of a niche comic book publisher that would put out some games and put out some quality product, and then they're like, let's go Hollywood. And we're not the only YouTubers talking about that. I know other YouTubers are talking about that too. But this is going to be another cautionary tale, right? I mean, we've talked about companies like Rooster Teeth. They had a really good thing going, and then they sold out, and now they are Warner Media's bitches. And when Warner Media and Discovery merge, there's a very good chance that Rooster Teeth will be downsized even more. And it's the same with IDW. When they were just a comic book publisher and they were good at what they did, they were pretty solid. And if you get a couple hits, and make a movie deal or something, that's fine. But they abandoned their core business, chasing Hollywood and getting into things that they really didn't know what the hell they're doing. Like they have a marketing firm or something too. It does like travel marketing. I'm like, what's that have to do with comic books? IDW Publishing sales, including games, rose to almost 6 million, almost 6 million for the quarter from 4.6 million in the year ago period. Again, including games, which included 4 weeks of Diamond Comic Distributors' COVID shutdown. You can't blame it all on the shutdown. People are still selling stuff. In addition to the shutdown, IDW cited several high-performing direct market titles and increased direct-to-consumer sales as contributors to the increase, offsetting an increase in discounts and returns of $58,000. These are small sums of money. It's like, this is for a corporation. This is like a mom and pop business. I'm serious. Like, I know local businesses around here in Western Pennsylvania that have better numbers, and they're local businesses. Okay. Sales and profits for IDW Publishing were on par with the results in IDW's fiscal Q1 end of January. Overall profits for IDW Media Holdings, including publishing, its entertainment division, the impact of the sale of its CTM division, which closed in the quarter, were $2.5 million, up from the $354,000 loss in the year ago period. Again, these are not massive numbers, but the trend, the overall trend for IDW is that they're losing money. They're losing less money, but they're still losing money, right? I mean, freaking Yahoo Finances is covering it too. Here are the bullet points. Consolidated revenue increased from 10.1 million to 9.3 million. COVID update. IDW Publishing direct market sales continued to recover. We're going to be fine. This is what they said before, guys. I don't know what the hell's going on with this. This is what they said before. They're like, oh, just hang on, investors. Hang on, guys. We're going to get a Netflix deal. We're going to get a Hulu deal. And they had 3 shows in development, and 2 of the 3 shows got canceled. I think Winona Earp is winding down now too. And I don't know what's up with Locke and Key. It never really took off. But now the whole thing, and I saw this floating around, is that everybody's talking about how the comic book market is going to be booming by 2026. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. I think manga will. I think manga is going to be fine. I don't think that the rest of comics is necessarily going to be fine, but everybody's talking everything's going to be great. They're going to be great. So this market intelligence consulting firm put this press release out. They made sure why did they put Warner Brothers Image Comics and IDW in here? Why would they have those three? Because, Marvel clearly is the leader here in the US, unless these guys are getting together and being like, hey, put IDW and Warner in here so we give people the impression we're going to be around. Because this was a press release, and it got picked up by a bunch of different places. I don't know. Anyway, the other big IDW financial news, which I had some people send me this. I didn't look into it right away. But yeah, their executive chairman served time for money laundering. Oh, that's going to help. And then right after that, they put out their Q2 results, and they're not good. IDW Media appointed one William E. Rapfogel as their executive chairman in March of last year. He's also previously served as chief of staff to the chairman of IDT Corp since 2017, the company that owned IDW. In 2007, blah, 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 blah. William Rapfogel has had a number of businesses and political roles, was senior advisor at Realty Crown LLC, was an executive director for nonprofit companies, spent a decade working on the New York City government in senior roles with Ed Koch. That's interesting. He was an advisor in the White House Office of Faith and Community-Based Initiatives for George W. Bush. IDW states that William Rapfogel was a named defendant and entered into a plea agreement with the New York State Attorney General's office in 2014, and that in May 2018, Mr. Rapfogel completed parole, receiving a certificate of relief from New York State permitting Mr. Rapfogel to engage in any and all activities. So what is that about? He was ousted in 2013 as the leader of the Metropolitan Council on Jewish Poverty, which provides employment services, crisis intervention, emergency food, and other programs for poor Jewish households. After financial irregularities were discovered in an investigation initiated by the Met Council's Board of Directors, and after New York City funding was suspended, he was then arrested on charges of grand larceny and money laundering. It was alleged that Rapfogel inflated the Met Council's health insurance payments by several $100,000 a year, and then split the proceeds with politicians who supplied grants to the agency. In 2014, he pleaded guilty to grand larceny, money laundering, tax fraud, and filing false documents to the city campaign finance board. For his role in a scheme described as stealing more than $7 million from social services. Oh, God. IDW sure knows how to pick them, don't they? I mean, look, he's been cleared. He got a certificate of relief or whatever. So that's that. But when your company is best known for financial problems, right? Almost all the news related to IDW is about how much money IDW is losing. Bringing a guy in who served time for money laundering, who inflated the books, probably not a good thing. Who's this other guy they hired? He was their editor-in-chief, I think, and he was there for 2 days before people found some dirt on him, and he was out the door. They can't keep him. Everybody's jumping ship. Like I said before, I did some freelancing for IDW about 5-6 years ago, and none of the editors I worked with are still there. They all jumped to some other publishers, or they left comics completely, and I don't blame them. This is a sinking ship, and it's really unfortunate because I guess, I know the Transformers books were good back in the day. They've gotten pretty weird lately, but, I loved IDW's Transformers for the first couple of years anyway, and I've heard mixed things about the Sonic comics, and the Turtles looks pretty good. But again, these are all things that IDW doesn't own. So who would actually buy this company? People are like, oh, Hasbro will buy them. I'm like, why does Hasbro need to buy IDW? Hasbro could literally take their properties and go anywhere else, go to Dark Horse or go to Boom or whatever, and Boom's killing it right now with Power Rangers, and Hasbro owns Power Rangers right now. So if anybody was going to get the Hasbro licenses at this point, my money would be on Boom Studios. And Boom Studios is in the same, I guess, weight class as IDW, and Boom Studios got its shit together. And they're focusing on comics, and they're doing crowdfunders, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in the case of Keanu Reeves. So what's the deal with IDW? Why are they falling behind? Could be management, for sure. I think they've got some big problems over there. I don't know. I'm going to wrap it up, though. I'm sure we'll probably dip back in, next quarter for more dismal IDW news. Please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.